What I eat in a day to get over 100 grams of protein. If you're new here, hey, I'm Healthy Emmie. I'm a nutritionist, a weight loss specialist, and the creator of Slim, the all-inclusive platform that gives you custom meal plan, a custom workout plan, daily meditations, journal topics, exercise, everything that you could need in order to be successful, including access to me, a weekly Q&A. It's all in there. So you can click the link on the screen or in the description bar to get started. I have made a video in the past about my thoughts in relationship with protein, and I will tag that video and I'll put it in the description bar because I really want to make clear here that I don't want you to fall on either side of the spectrum of being obsessed with protein and getting in a ton, or being completely negligent and not getting in any at all. Getting over 100 grams of protein daily is not something that I do. The purpose of making this video is to show individuals who might think that a plant-based diet is insufficient in protein. It's just not true. It is easy to get in tons of protein, and that's why I did a high protein day, to show you that this is the case. I don't fall on either side of the spectrum. I take in the amount of protein that we need to have in order to be healthy, but I don't obsess over it and get in tons, because getting in too much can be detrimental to your health. It can be very taxing on the liver and kidneys. There's also a process called gluconeogenesis, where proteins just get converted into glucose to be used as the body, just as a carbohydrate would. So you think, I'm not eating any carbs, I'm eating tons of protein. But if you are eating tons and tons of protein, the body's gonna process it as it would carbs. And I don't fall on the other side of the spectrum, which is not eating any protein at all, because the body needs protein. So the purpose of this video is to show you that getting protein on a plant-based diet is not a difficult thing to do, and I hope that these recipes today resonate with you and that you enjoy them. Now, I always start off my day with my supplements. The two supplements that I take every single day are my vitamin B12 and my vitamin D3. If you're on a plant-based diet, then supplementing with vitamin B12 is a non-negotiable, because you're not going to get it from your food, and supplementing with vitamin D3 is something that's very wise to do, because 43% of the population is deficient. I live in Boston, Massachusetts. We get vitamin D from the sun. I don't see much of the sun in the winter, so supplementing is a very wise thing to do. Additionally, my skin is always protected. I wear sunscreen like it's going out of style, so I definitely don't get enough vitamin D. In fact, I was deficient before I started supplementing, which is no bueno. But now, supplementing, all good. These are the cleanest supplements that you're gonna find. All the other ones on the market are garbage. They have GMOs, they have oil, they have sugar, they're not even vegan. These are non-GMO, vegan, one active ingredient, no sugar, no oil, no gross stuff. These are good. Today's recipes are featured in my new upcoming cookbook, the Healthy Protein Cookbook. You can order that in the description below. The first recipe that we are featuring is a breakfast tofu scramble. Now, I usually go for extra firm tofu. I just always have. But when you are making a tofu scramble, firm is going to be the better choice here. The extra firm, it's just a little bit too rubbery, I guess is the best adjective here. So you're going to take a half of a block of firm tofu. You're also going to need a tablespoon of nutritional yeast, half of a tablespoon of tahini, a fourth of a cup of plant milk. I would recommend one that's a little bit higher in fat, like a soy milk, so that you can make it nice and creamy. If you are really looking to be indulgent, you could use like a coconut milk, but coconut milk is really high in saturated fat, so I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. Coconut milk is something I reserve for special occasions. For spices, we're gonna add in some turmeric. This is gonna give it a yellow tinge. We're also going to add in some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some paprika. Then we're gonna add in some black salt. This smells just like eggs. And I was never an egg eater growing up, but I purchased this because I wanted to see, does it really have that eggy flavor? And it does. Black salt does have naturally occurring sulfur compounds, and that's why it has that eggy sort of flavor and taste. So you can add this in as well. This is not required, but if you are used to having eggs, or if you liked having eggs, then you would probably actually really enjoy this. Making this recipe is incredibly easy. All you have to do is heat it over a skillet. So you put the tofu into the skillet and sort of mash it up into that scrambled egg-like texture. And then you are going to mix together the other ingredients, which is the milk, the tahini, and the spices. I usually put on the salt a little bit later in the cooking process. So you'll whisk together all of those wet ingredients, add them into the skillet over medium heat, cook it all together, add on some of the black salt, which gives it that eggy flavor, and let it cool. And you can enjoy this as is, but this is really low calorie. It's only about 270 calories and it's 25 grams of protein. So it's not high enough in calories for me for my first meal of the day. It's very important to me that I make sure I'm getting in enough food with each meal. So I would recommend that you pair this with something, pair it with some vegetables or maybe with a sweet potato, something to give it a little bit more oomph, a little bit more calories. But this as is for only 270 calories has over 25 grams of protein. So it packs a lot of protein per calorie. But again, I would suggest that you add something with it. Something like broccoli could really up the protein, or if you added Brussels sprouts, that could really add the protein. You also could mix vegetables into the scramble, like peppers and onions and garlic, if you wanted to boost it a little bit. And you could even add in something like black beans to really give it a hit of protein. For me personally, I would like to have some vegetables with this. Of course, I always have vegetables with every single meal, but then also I would like maybe some avocado toast, and you could put the scramble over that. So a nice piece of sourdough bread with some avocado, put the scramble over it and have some veggies. That is a meal. So if we were to add in some vegetables and some sourdough bread is about 4 grams of protein. If I added in some Brussels sprouts, it's about 3 grams of protein. We're looking at 33 grams of protein for this breakfast. So I'm gonna take some minced garlic. I'm gonna take 2 small spoonfuls. This is a red onion that's been diced up. We'll add that in. I'll add in a little water to keep it from burning. And we'll water saute that for a few minutes. I'm also gonna take some tomato paste, and as I always say, get the one in the tube. It really does make such a difference. I'm just gonna eyeball this, maybe 1.5 tablespoons. For seasonings, I'm going to add in some oregano, a little bit of chili powder, some garlic and onion powder, a little bit of turmeric. I'm gonna add in some kabocha squash or pumpkin, celery, mushrooms, and I'm gonna mix all of that together. I'm gonna put the lid over it just for a minute or two to help the juices sweat out of the vegetables and sort of meld together before I put in more liquid. While that's happening, I'm going to chop up this soy tempeh into little cubes. Okay, now in goes a can of diced tomatoes and the chopped tempeh. We'll mix all that together. Now I'm gonna add in some broth. I like to do the no salt broth because you can get real salty real quick. And then my rings don't come off my fingers. So I used all the broth I had, so then I just filled this up with water. I'll add in water. All right, mix it all together. I'm gonna put the lid on and let all of this cook. So I'm gonna bring it to a simmer and let it simmer for about a half hour, lid on. And I'll stir it every so often. Last thing I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna take this entire bag of spinach and I'm going to add it in. I'm just gonna let it wilt down. Oh, there is one more thing I'm gonna do, I forgot. I'll do that after this all wilts down. And you can put the top on to help it a bit. This does not take long at all. All right, let's check on this. Started to wilt down for me. And then I'll just mix it in. Gives it such a gorgeous color. Easiest way to add in leafy greens, I tell ya. I tell ya. Last thing, I'm gonna add in some nutritional yeast. I do about 2 to 3 tablespoons. will turn off the heat at this point. I really like adding in the nutritional yeast at the end because it gives it a nice potency and it allows the stew to thicken up a little bit. So I love that. So we'll just mix that in. How delicious, oh my goodness. Now here's the key. Never make your stew and eat your stew the same day. It is always better the next day. It's thicker, the flavors have had time to marinate, so I will store this in the fridge to have during the week. So let's say that you were going to eat this soup and then you were going to have, a cup of quinoa with it. That cup of quinoa is another 8 grams of protein. So if you are having a third of this soup, which is 23.33 plus that 8 of the quinoa, you are getting in about 31 grams of protein for this meal. And if you add in, a cup of broccoli, that's another, 5 grams of protein. For dinner, we are having a healthy plant-based vegan take on coq au vin. Listen, I spoke Spanish. I was not a French girl. Traditionally, this is a dish of chicken that is cooked in red wine. I don't eat chicken. I don't drink wine. But this is a delicious take on what we're gonna make. We're gonna make it with seitan. We're going to start out by sauteing some minced garlic. And you are going to want to get pearl onions. I ran out of pearl onions, so I just used a red onion, but traditionally you will use pearl onions, about 16 of them, or you could buy them canned and just do it the lazy but still yummy way. Now, this does call for red wine, and I don't have red wine in the house. I don't drink, but I do have some Marsala cooking wine, so I used this and it was absolutely delicious. Just a couple tablespoons of that. Then throwing in some carrots as well as some veggie broth and some tomato paste. Let that all cook together and then add in some more veggie broth and some cornstarch to help thicken it up. Then with your seitan already made, you can pour this gravy on top of the seitan. Oh my gosh, you will die at how delicious this is. Now, for added flavor and to really make it the traditional recipe, I do recommend adding in a bay leaf while you're cooking and then taking out the bay leaf before you consume it. And then if you have fresh thyme, to throw that over the top as well, not only for a beautiful garnish, but also for the traditional taste. Of course, this entire written out recipe will be in the Healthy Protein Cookbook. So as you can see, it is not crazy to get in tons of protein. You don't need to use protein powder either. All of these recipes are featured in my upcoming cookbook, the Healthy Protein Cookbook, so you can order that in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, honeys. If you like this video, you're gonna love the next one that pops up on the screen. It is another high protein, what I eat in a day on a whole food plant-based diet with no protein powder. And don't forget, if you want a customized meal plan just for you, workout plan, daily meditations, access to me, live Q&As, meditations, journals, all of that good stuff, join Slim. The link is in the down bar. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in that next video.